Morning everybody, it's Ashlyn here. So we're going to try and do this outside because of the fact that I've noticed my videos are kind of not working correctly. I was looking at a couple of my videos and they're very buffery, so I do apologize for that because I didn't know. I'll also take this off. So I didn't know that they were all like buffery and whatnot. I apologize. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and I'm going to try this. I don't know how well it's going to work. Ugh, my mouth. Gross. I'm going to go over here today. Just like flip around. We have these 4 books we need to read for the next part. I don't know how well I'm going to like this. But yeah, ignore the couch in the background. It will be... Oh my god, my stomach. Okay. It will be off the porch soon, hopefully. I'm still waiting on somebody to come pick it up and get rid of it for us. So, I almost fell over, guys. So, usually you would see me with coffee. However, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I've already had my coffee. I've already had my pill. I've already done a little bit of my own reading. I read the sample of Powerless. So, my blonde is like gone on this side. Oh, no. Is that all the blonde I have left? No, that can't be right. Maybe it's just all over here. I don't know. Whatever. It's whatever. We don't care anymore. So, I'm going to start with like the longest one, since this is part 2 of Try a Chapter, and that's Mary O'Connell's Dear Reader. So bear with me. I think it's like 40 pages, but we're going to get through this today. And it's really hot out here. It's supposed to be like 100 something degrees out here today. It's ridiculous. That's why I'm like barely dressed, but I'm sweating in booty shorts and a t-shirt. Not even a t-shirt, crop top. So this is Mary O'Connell's Dear Reader. Not sure what this is about. It's from 2017. It says, for 17-year-old Flannery feels the only respite... Okay, sorry. The only respite from the plaid-skirted mean girls at Sacred Heart High School is her beloved teacher, Miss Sweeney's AP English class. But when Miss Sweeney doesn't show up to teach Flannery's favorite book, Wuthering Heights, and leaves behind her purse, Flannery knows something is wrong. Police are called, and Flannery gives him everything except Miss Sweeney's copy of Wuthering Heights. This she holds on to, and it's a good thing she does, because when she opens it, something very strange happens. It has somehow transformed into Miss Sweeney's real-time diary. It seems Miss Sweeney is in New York City, and she's in trouble, so Flannery does something very un-Flannery-like. She skips school and sets off for Manhattan with the book as her guide. Well, I don't have my hair tie. Why don't I do this? Oh my gosh. It's so hot, you guys. I wish my hair would just like stay like this. Whatever. Okay. Miss Sweeney disappeared on the first day of March, an icy Thursday morning, of gloves and boots and veneers of diamondy frost on the windows of Sacred Heart High School. Her classroom was not bathed in the stark yellow glow of school-issued light bulbs. The only light came from the windows, and it was morning soft gray and gave the classroom a surprising bedroom coziness. When Flannery Fields walked into the room, she took the start of this Thursday as a gift. Yesterday she had been mocked for her enthusiasm about Wuthering Heights, but she remained eager to defend her favorite novel. My hair is just like everywhere. Still, what could trump a free hour? Did anyone want to flip the light switch and start a new school day? There were already a few girls sitting at their desks playing games on their phones or listening to music or texting or spacing out entirely. Somebody greeted the dim, teacher-free room with an exuberant sweet, and somebody else snickered before complete quiet descended. It was as if all the girls had taken an implicit vow of silence. They didn't want to draw the attention of a random teacher roaming the halls during her planning period. Flannery put in her earbuds but didn't turn on her music. She cocooned herself in the filtered silence and wondered when Miss Sweeney would show up. But soon the peaceful scene was shattered by the calculus teacher's voice droning up through the heat vents. Flannery dug her book from her backpack, figuring she'd better study for her third-hour test, but she heard a few giggling snorts from the girls who sat behind her, a friendly reminder that only a geek of Flannery's towering stature would be studying when one was basically free to do anything at all. And so Flannery gave in to the strange languor of the morning and played Boggle on her phone until it vibrated. It was Megan Swenson-Sainez texting her from the next desk. This is awkward. Also great. Where do you think she is? Flannery looked out the window at the teacher's parking lot, thinking that she might see Miss Sweeney frantically getting out of her car and running into Sacred Heart High. Maybe she's sleeping in. She texted a smiley face emoji and a series of Z's after that, as if Miss Sweeney were not merely sleeping in, but had morphed into a dozy, cheerful cartoon character. Most teachers arrived at school by 7:30, but occasionally Miss Sweeney raced in from the teacher's parking lot at 5 till 8, with her green eyes looking smaller and sleepier without their usual plum liner and fringe of mascara, and her long light brown hair not flat ironed smooth but wavy and wet at the tips. It didn't occur to Flannery that anything was truly wrong. Her intuition failed, perhaps by drowsy inertia, but 8 o'clock became 8:15 and then 8:20, and Flannery started to worry. Miss Sweeney's behavior in class yesterday had been beyond erratic, but maybe she was just sick. Miss Sweeney had been out for a few days in February, strep throat, and had returned to the substitute teacher's stained coffee cup on her desk. Really? She said, holding the coffee cup away from her body, her arm locked straight. She looped her finger and thumb gingerly around the handle, as if holding a tarantula by the leg. A cough drop clacked against Miss Sweeney's teeth when she sighed. Really and truly? The mug was painted tart apple green with black lettering. Kiss me, I'm Irish. Flannery wasn't sure if Miss Sweeney was referring to the general piggishness of the substitute, a pleasant old man in taped glasses and a linty black sweater vest who wanted to go off syllabus and off planet and discuss random scenes from the Martian Chronicles, or if her AP English teacher was offended by the corn dog leprechaun sentiment. At 8:30, Megan Swenson-Sainez pulled her headphones off and walked to the front of the classroom. She stood in front of Miss Sweeney's desk and waved her hands over her head, largely, ironically, as if she were landing planes until everyone stared at her. Does anyone know where Miss Sweeney lives? Should I drive to her house? She spoke with the officious confidence of a student council president, which she was, and had to endure exaggerated sighs from the popular girls. But Flannery could sense a growing worry, the mood in the room changing atmospherically. Flannery was pretty sure that if she wrote that phrase in an essay, Miss Sweeney would circle it in red pen and write in the margin, how does a mood change atmospherically? Does a mood coyly sprinkle a few raindrops before said moon swings and burns you with the noonday sun? She could be a little snarky like that. She was a detailed, precise grader. On days Miss Sweeney handed back their essays, most girls glowered and muttered until the bell rang and they were free to flip through their pages and openly complain in the hall. What's with her hatred of extraneous adjectives? Why does she get so bent out of shape by cliches? She probably gets her panties in such a twist because Miss Sweeney herself is a cliche. The teacher who thinks she's so special, so different from the other teachers. And how pathetic is her obsessive love for meaning, sense, and clarity? Meaning, sense, and clarity were the guiding principles upon which Miss Sweeney judged student writing. Because Flannery's first impulse was to make her sentences obliquely profound and/or jazzy, she was certainly not immune to Miss Sweeney's sharp red pen. But Flannery loved getting her essays back from Miss Sweeney. Not that her comments didn't sometimes sting, they did. But Flannery appreciated the time and effort Miss Sweeney put into grading. Last year's lit teacher had just crossed out a few typos or at most wrote a quick perfunctory nice simile or cool adjective comment on her students' essays. She had 4 children in elementary school and drank coffee from a squat rocket-shaped mug that said fuel. And Miss Sweeney had written Flannery an encouraging note on the first essay she turned in back in September. F. I hope you are not discouraged by my many suggestions. I am only trying to help you take a closer look at your writing. You are talented, observant, and empathetic. I do think you could be a writer. Flannery kept the paper buried in her socks and underwear drawer. When she was having a bad day, she would dig it out and read the last sentence over and over. Now Megan wagged her finger at the clock. Seriously, Miss Sweeney should so be here by now. If now was 30 minutes ago. The meanest of the mean girls ran in, lightening things up. Sweeney's probably gone completely Sylvia Plath on us, and now we'll get stuck with another moronic sub for the rest of the year. The nervous laughter of her half-dozen acolytes even sounded like the bleating of sheep. Bah, 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 bah. Yeah, I'm not batting like a sheep. Flannery didn't have time to mull over their vapid cruelty because there was the thudding of slow footfalls in the hall, not the skittering click-click of high-heeled boots that would belong to Miss Sweeney had she been running to her classroom. Her adrenaline jackrabbing ever since that heart-stopping moment she'd opened her eyes and looked at the alarm clock. Flannery imagined Miss Sweeney jolting out of bed and screeching, "It's after 8! Students are walking into my classroom and I am still in my bed." Doom arrived, tartan, bright, and petite and smelling of lily of the valley. Miss Picone, the freshman English teacher. She stepped into the classroom like a polite, curious neighbor, but her smile slackened as she stood there in the soft light in her pinned kilt and red turtleneck. It had been 3 years since Flannery had heard Miss Picone recite the Robert Burns poem, To a Mouse, but the memory remained cringingly fresh. Miss Picone was from Atlanta, but her soft southern accent had disappeared into a sudden aggressive Scottish burr, and she'd run her hands and made eye contact with each girl in the class, one by one, each and every wee mousie. No. As she tortured out the lines. Normally Flannery would empathize with anyone who had given an impromptu and brave, if poorly considered, reading, but poetry, love, and Miss Picone sucked up to the smirking popular girls, which anyone could see was futile. I feel like someone's crawling on me. Now Miss Picone squinted hard at Miss Sweeney's desk at the pale green tissue billowing up out of a Kleenex box patterned with gold and green falling leaves. Everyone waited for Miss Picone to speak, but her eyes stayed locked on the Kleenex box as if she were mining for autumnal metaphor for symbolic meaning. But Flannery had seen the fall-themed tissues in the red-stickered sale aisle at Target. Miss Sweeney's box of Kleenex was really just a box of Kleenex. Miss Picone finally turned to the class and said, "What, pray tell, is going on in here?" Silence. No one wanted Miss Sweeney to get in any trouble. Plus, nobody knew what was going on, and so Miss Picone crossed her arms over her chest and smiled triumphantly, as if she'd just stumbled onto a secret bunker of party girls swirling around the room in sparkly disco dresses, not a class of morning days girls sitting quietly at their desks. She hustled off to the office and returned with the principal, who walked into the room flushed, his commanding forehead glazed with sweat. His eyes were the eerie ice blue of martyred Scandinavians, and he was skinny and nearly 7 feet tall. To compensate for his serial killer ambiance, he was always aggressively cheery. He cleared his throat dramatically. "Morning, ladies." The principal flung out his lanky arms, a weird air embrace for the class. He occasionally appeared in local commercials for car dealers or real estate firms, and in fact had directed the Sacred Heart Fall musical, an all-girl, of course, version of Oklahoma. But fearing blowback from the conservative Sacred Heart parents, he'd taken a little artistic license with the key romantic scene. Instead of kissing, Will, Emily Wolfe, and Annie, Alyssa Lockhart, had exchanged exuberant smiles and the heartiest, hand-steaming high five. "Cold one today, right?" He fake shivered and gave himself a little hug. I rolled out of bed this morning and told my wife, time to salt the sidewalks, honey. Feeling I dearly wish he hadn't used wife and bed in the same sentence, let alone a phrase overripe with euphemism. From the back of the class, some valiant girl whispered, saying, "Chicka bow wow." The principal, who was never called Mr. Miller, he was solely referred to as the principal, and as he was both a prince and a pal, ignored the not quite suppressed laughter and asked if Miss Sweeney had been in the classroom that morning. The head-shaking chorus of no, 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 no made his shoulders slump. He clucked out a series of annoyed tongue sounds and fussed with his broadly striped necktie before he rallied with a pleasant, "So, you haven't seen her? So you haven't seen her?" The principal's verbal style certainly lacked meaning, sense, and clarity, but so did everything else that had happened that morning. He floundered on with small talk. The magazine sales fundraiser had been a laudable success, and he was looking forward to Friday's volleyball tournament. He just loved volleyball. He loved seeing everybody having a blast on the court. Flannery blanched as at his next sentence, knowing that his words would linger forever, knowing that even when she was a 90-year-old draped in a pink afghan, clutching prayer cards and trying to discern the sort of terrifying mystery of the afterlife, she would still remember the principal saying, "Holy Toledo, ladies, I love to see those balls really get spiked." Still, Flannery felt sorry for him because everything he said was so stupid and so hilarious, but mostly because his gaze kept straying to the windows, as if willing Miss Sweeney to appear. But everyone was a little off their game by that point, and not a single girl snickered or texted a hastily composed sonnet entitled "The Prince and the Pal of the Double Entendre," ode to his spike balls. The bell rang, and the principal looked as startled as if he'd heard the fire alarm, and that was the end of the awkward fest. He took a deep breath and as if absolutely determined to try to impose normalcy, offered up his trademark cheeseball grin. "Move on a second hour, ladies. Orchestra and band. I want to hear some beautiful music ringing through the hallways." But a hairline fracture of annoyance cracked his buoyant voice. A teacher not showing up for school was not going to make his day any easier. "You can turn in any homework tomorrow when Miss Sweeney returns." Flannery had Zippo musical talent and took a second-hour study hall, so she loitered, loading her backpack with precision. She wound her earbud cords into a neat bundle like thin licorice and pulled the pens and pencils from the desk cavity of her backpack and rearranged them in the outer zipper pouch. She wanted to be the last person left in the room, and when she was, Flannery took a careful look around. Everything appeared unchanged. The framed black and white photographs of Miss Sweeney's favorite writers lined the walls. Sylvia Plath and Langston Hughes and Emily and Charlotte Bronte and J.D. Salinger and Flannery O'Connor and Anne Frank stared down at her, along with Jesus, who convalesced on a small metal crucifix by the door. Miss Sweeney was a big fan of the Christ figure in literature, but Flannery couldn't quite decipher how she felt about Jesus himself, savior or mere quotable and compelling biblical character. Ow, my foot. From the hall came the excited speculation about her whereabouts. Sweeney had slept in, and the chattering energy of Miss Sweeney's absence crashed onto Flannery like a wave, even as she thought that the critical portion of her gray brain mass simultaneously noted how Miss Sweeney would not care for the wave description, and some of Miss Sweeney's imagined words scrolled through Flannery's brain in vivid red ink. "Flannery, can you think of a less pedestrian description for your sudden despair? Perhaps something non-oceanic?" "Okay, Flannery." As if she were contrasting Flannery's embarrassing literary name with her embarrassingly non-lofty efforts. But the wave crashed anyway. The creamy gray-green water roared like a lion. Flannery knew that Miss Sweeney had not overslept, that she was not enjoying some midweek carpe diem, eating scrambled eggs and cinnamon toast with a foxy new boyfriend. Flannery knew something was really wrong, and she had the accompanying queasy feeling that it was a wrong that might not be easily fixed. She picked up her backpack and paused, staring at the green board. She hoped for some kind of Hogwarts magic, for Miss Sweeney's whereabouts to be written on the board by an invisible hand skilled in calligraphy, for an exact location to be spelled out in an ominous, jagged font. Flannery cut behind Miss Sweeney's desk, which felt like a social violation, traipsing through the kitchen area of a restaurant or using the upstairs bathroom of a house when the party was happening in the basement. She rested her hand on the back of Miss Sweeney's chair for a quick moment, and then, as if unbidden, her hand reached to open the top desk drawer, but before she touched the metal handle, she noticed a quarter-inch strap of red leather sticking out of the bottom drawer. Flannery jerked back as if it were a swaying coral snake, and then looked at the door before she casually pulled open the drawer, as if in search of scotch tape or a manila folder. Flannery offered up an aggrieved sigh to the empty room. I am so busy, acting as if reading through a teacher's desk was just one of a multitude of thankless, monotonous tasks she had to perform before day turned to night, and she could pull on her comfiest sweatpants and walk downtown Abbey with a big old glass of Chardonnay. In short, Flannery acted like one of the teachers she had studied their tedious delights, along with their whimsical, flattering selfies via their Facebook updates, until the archdiocese had ruled that students and teachers could not correspond via social networks. Flannery did not particularly miss the sad subtext of adults curating their online lives, and anyway, the one teacher she was interested in had never friended a student. At Sacred Heart High, Miss Sweeney was a stoic Beyonce in the frothy Kardashian sea. Flannery took Miss Sweeney's purse out of the drawer, slung it over her own shoulder, and walked briskly into the hallway as if pursuing important errands. The loudspeaker crackled, and the principal's amplified breathing, a fine bouquet of hay fever and mucus filled the hallway. She flinched but did not hear. Flannery Fields, do not steal Miss Sweeney's purse. When the cheery cadence of a sports announcer, the principal said, attention please, students in Miss Sweeney's second hour English lit class, please report to the gym. A few stragglers lingered, covertly texting by their lockers, but by the time Flannery had cut into the bathroom, there was just one other person in a stall, a lone pair of black Converses showing beneath the partition wall. Flannery took the farthest stall and stood waiting, hugging Miss Sweeney's purse to her chest. When the girl finally flushed and exited her stall, she primed at the mirror for an eternity, but never bothered to wash her hands. Normally, Flannery would have peered through the crack in the door to see the guilty girl. She would have made a mental note to keep an eye on her in the lunch line, as she was undoubtedly one who would bypass the tongs and plunge her fecalicious hand into the communal breadbasket. Finally, there came the swoosh of the bathroom door sweeping open and shut, and Flannery took a seat on the closed toilet and unzipped Miss Sweeney's purse. The contents made her heart sink. Of course, she imagined Miss Sweeney standing on the toilet seat of the next stall, her hands gripping the partition wall, her face a perfect smirk as she looked down at Flannery. Did your heart really sink? Are you in possession of a sunken heart? Sunken, as in treasure or ships? Ahoy there, matey! But Flannery really could feel her heart sinking through her chest cavity, because everything in that purse was useful. She believed there was not a single item Miss Sweeney would willingly leave behind. An asthma inhaler, her keys, 4 of them, on a cheap touristy Lady Liberty keyring, 3 tampons, Styla eyeliner in morning plum, her cell phone, Crest White strips concealer, her paperback edition of Wuthering Heights. I have to sneeze so bad. An older edition with the sorry. Don't look at me like that, Stranny. Her paperback edition of Wuthering Heights, an older edition with a pulpy, harlequin-looking cover. The pages were stiff and ruffled at the edges, as if it had been dropped into the bathtub. Her wallet, containing a 10 and 4 wands, a library card, her driver's license, her insurance card, a blurred photo of, was it a rat with a fluffy pink wig, and her frequent customer punch card at Java Joe's. Flannery ran her fingers over the fragments of paper and counted out the punches. Miss Sweeney was 2 espresso drinks away from a free beverage of her choice. Flannery wasted a long moment in the bathroom, oddly comforted by the smell of Clorox and the incessant swirl of the running toilet, wondering if Miss Sweeney would choose a standard latte or beat the system with a 4-shot caramel Freebird, which, with tip, was usually $7. She was putting the wallet back into the purse when she thought to unzip the change compartment. It had felt flat, empty, but contained a folded up piece of paper. Hold on. I need a minute. I have allergies today, I guess. LCPL Brandon J. Marzetti Corker in Kansas City, Missouri, was killed in action in the Helmand province of Afghanistan on Sunday, March 11th. Born in Kansas City, he graduated from Holy Angels High School in May 2005 and entered the Marines on November 19, 2005. He was devoted and loyal to a fault to family and friends. An accomplished athlete, Brandon was the starting quarterback for the Holy Angels 2004-2005 championship. team. He was an avid sports fan devoted to the Kansas City Chiefs and Kansas City Royals. He is survived by his loving parents, Lisa Marzetti, Lizel Charles, and Rick Corcoran, his fiancée Megan Reynolds, and grandmother Helen Marzetti. He is also survived by his future in-laws, Suzanne and Philip Reynolds, and many friends all over the world. Mass of Christian burial will be at 10 a.m. Thursday morning at St. Thomas More Catholic Church. Burial with full military honors will follow at Oak Hill Cemetery. The rosary will be said at 6:30 p.m. Wednesday evening, and family will receive friends until 9 o'clock. In lieu of flowers, the family suggests memorials to the Holy Angels Athletic Department in care of Holy Angels High School. Flannery thought obituaries were also tragic, even when the person was elderly, because whether they were ascending to nothingness or Neverland, to heaven, or a fiery multi-pitchforked hell, fingers crossed for many denizens of Sacred Heart. Their time on earth was over, and how could you imagine or train for non-existence? But Brandon Marzetti Concorin wasn't old. He was 25 and had died violently. He also had the symmetrical features of a Hollywood hero, which shouldn't have mattered in the least, but Flannery found herself running her finger over the photo and rereading the obituary. Brandon Marzetti Carcan's funeral was happening in an hour. No, 2 hours, she thought, with the time difference in the Midwest. Could Miss Sweeney have gone out of town for the funeral and not told anyone? Flannery folded up the obituary and put it back in the change compartment, realizing that Miss Sweeney's erratic classroom behavior was not mimicking the violent emotions in Wuthering Heights. She was not reenacting the mood swings of the Moors. Her grief was purely personal, non-literary. But oh, the eternal tenderness of the world, the random ravaged sadness. It all made Flannery want to become a bedroomed hermit, keeping the world at bay with books and blankets, with YouTube and cherry Pop-Tarts, because any old day was pure Wuthering Heights for someone. Flannery took Miss Sweeney's Wuthering Heights out of her purse and studied the cover. A generically dashing Heathcliff stood behind busty, black-haired Kathy, who wore a daffodil yellow gown tied with a scarlet sash. Her face in profile was standing behind her, holding her by the elbows. Flannery couldn't decide whether this was sadistic or merely manly, but with her eyes and mouth half-open expression of ecstasy, Kathy herself seemed pretty okay with his grip. Flannery thought back to Monday morning when Miss Sweeney had introduced the book, claiming that Wuthering Heights got a bad rap about being a mere literary bodice ripper, the madcap antics of Heathcliff and crazy Kathy. For the reader with an open heart and an open mind, Wuthering Heights was more than an entertaining read about doomed lovers roaming ravaged estates and postcard-lush moors. Every single thing you need to know about life can be found in the pages of this book. Miss Sweeney had raised her hands, palms up, a bossy priest bullying her congregation with the personal truth. Depression and heartache and joy and love and loss, integrating the dark and the light, the calm and the storm. Ladies, it's all there. But she had lost her condescending composure when she sighed and said, God, it's just such a good book. Now the door swooshed open and Flannery quickly flushed the toilet as if she needed a legitimate reason to be in the bathroom. There were 3 stalls, and Flannery was in the one farthest from the door. Instead of taking the other end stall, the girl who had just entered the bathroom chose the middle one, as if in some grotesque game of toilet tic-tac-toe. Vexed, Flannery started to stick Miss Sweeney's book back into her purse, but then found she couldn't quite part with it. She held it to her face and breathed in the dusty papered sweetness of secondhand bookstores. Flannery always loved to see what was written in the margins of old books, those random penciled words that added up to a cryptic love letter to both the author and the next reader. Oh, yes. Ugh, creepy shades of Uncle Joe here, just like the kitchen smell of celery and loneliness. The chance to read Miss Sweeney's Marginalia, I can't say that word, about a book they both loved. Flannery perched on the closed toilet, open Wuthering Heights. She fanned quickly through the pages, looking for any red ink comments in the margins. But Emily Bronte had apparently fared better than Flannery. Miss Sweeney had circled no extraneous words. There were no mocking exclamation points, and she had not advised, you might want to watch the hyperbole meter, as if casually endorsing a new indie film. She turned to page 1, and she read, Ooh, you are tailing somebody. And it's cute. just gonna follow them and make them freaking freak out. I love our cops. They're dicks. They'll tailgate you. Manhattan, my old Alpha and Omega. Flannery thought just one thing, just one word. What? She flipped back to the title page. Caitlin Sweeney was written in red ink in the left-hand corner, and then in the middle page, a flourished black typeface, was the standard Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Nothing unusual, all was well. And then she turned to the next page, a genealogy chart to help the reader keep track of the names and dates of birth of the characters in Wuthering Heights. Okay, sure. But when Flannery turned to the first page of text, she read, Manhattan, my old Alpha and Omega. I was in the back seat of a cab. I was back, but back to the towering rents and the naturally beautiful and brilliant and the strivers trying to become beautiful or brilliant, and the hipster douchebags and the fatigued-looking women in their Dunkin' Donuts polo shirts and always a lonesome summertime voice calling out, Delicioso Coco Helado, Delicioso Coco Helado. Or there's the winter bliss dream of ice-glazed Central Park, the buses lumbering up Central Park West in the violet blue hour, and of course the seasonless surprise of seeing the shockingly minuscule Madonna jogging with her 2 bodyguards, of seeing Lady Gaga meet Stefani Germanotta at Duane Breed with her 4 bodyguards, and the old men playing chess on the stoops, and the rich moms laughing into their cell phones while the nannies trail with the toddlers, and all the other celebrities and stereotypes I am neglecting. I was back. I had no purse, no ID. I was fluid. I was free. I was not following my bliss, not even the memory of bliss, nor was I deluged with melancholy, trying to escape into the sepia-toned past. Dear reader, I was all about the future. I was Ray Bradbury's pinup girl. I was following the angel of my life, the one and only Brandon Marzetti Corcoran. And when I found him, I wanted New York City to swallow us whole, to take us into its glittering and gritty manic jaws and hold us close. Flannery was not only thinking what, but saying the word over and over, drawing out the vowel and sounding so gasping and questioning and apparently grating that the girl in the next stall sighed with lavish aggravation. Flannery didn't blame her, because who wouldn't be annoyed to be in the bathroom with an odd girl talking to herself, a girl whose heartbeat was thundering into what felt like a stardom cracking crescendo. Flannery certainly knew the beginning of her favorite book by heart, and the setting was not New York City. I have just returned from a visit to my landlord, the solitary neighbor that I shall be troubled with. This is certainly a beautiful country. In all England, I do not believe that I could have fixed on a situation so completely removed from the stir of society. A perfect misanthropous heaven, and Mr. Heathcliff and I are such a suitable pair to divide the desolation between us. Where did that page go? She peered at the book spine to see if the pages had been added. She ran her thumb along the space where the pages met the spine and found it smooth. Flannery touched the cool beige metal of the partition wall just for the sudden comfort of a stable physical object, and read the good-hearted bathroom graffiti. Peace to all who read this. Jesus loves you, along with the less sanguine Mary Beth K is a total whorebag. She opened Wuthering Heights again. As soon as I'd arrived at my classroom this morning, I'd seen Brandon at the window. I put my trembling hands on my desk and watched him from my peripheral vision. You're back, I whispered to the empty room, wanting to confirm the itinerant miracle of it by saying the words aloud. Brandon had appeared at the window the previous day when class had already started, but I'd found it difficult to simultaneously process a miracle and lead a class discussion on Heathcliff's going rogue from Wuthering Heights, as my own personal narrative arc was careening so wildly. But I had prayed for Brandon to return throughout the night while taking breaks to watch infomercials and seeing his face on every body selling acne wash and exercise machines, and there he was at the windows of Sacred Heart again, my miracle man, my personal Huck Finn, coatless and wearing an I Heart New York City shirt. Oh, he was his sweet younger self, my way back boy, except for his super short hair, sexy sure, but I miss his foppish bangs of yesteryear. He looked just as he had looked 7 years ago when he had moved to New York City. We had moved to New York City together, a couple of kooky 18-year-olds in sweet, sweet love. Flannery snapped the book shut and closed her eyes. She took a deep breath in which was not particularly cleansing and counted 1, 2, 3, 4. And then opened her eyes as she exhaled. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She looked at the bathroom floor, the white tile that had yellowed around the base of the toilet, hopefully from age, and reached down and touched her short, flowered combat boots, which looked and felt real, but perhaps were dreamed replicas of actual boots. Had the trip to TJ Maxx, where she'd bought them with her birthday money, been a dream too? But a comforting thought stemmed Flannery's existential crisis, if not her panic, because when you read in a dream, the words appeared scattershot, changed. A traffic sign might say, "Warning, caramel apples for the next 10 miles." Or if you opened "On the Road" while dreaming, the paragraphs might contain kitten emojis and Roman numerals, and who knew why a brain might churn out candied fruit instead of road construction, or muddle code instead of manly adventures. But it made perfect sense that Flannery's adoration of Wuthering Heights and her concern for Miss Sweeney had commingled into this lucid dream of a changed narration. Flannery nodded vehemently. Yes. Yes. She tapped the book on her leg, warming to her dream theory, which formulated as she sat there on the closed toilet. Emily Bronte herself had considered the power and sway of dreams with a vivid curiosity that had inspired some of her best dialogue, the mean, friendly lamentations of Kathy. I've dreamt in my life dreams that have stayed with me ever after and changed my ideas. They've gone through and through me, like wine through water, and altered the color of my mind. That Flannery was in the midst of a dream was a bit more appealing than the other option that she was going insane, and so she read a little more, hoping. Dream, dream, dream. I'm going to stop there because I want to know what happens next. This is really interesting. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but she left her purse and her ID and she was free. So I'm going to stop on page 20. There's 20 more pages of the chapter, first chapter. But definitely want to read this. I've never read Wuthering Heights, but I think I'm going to at some point. For sure. It has so many properties, it's ridiculous. But yeah, we're gonna change the pace a little bit and do Wow, No Thank You. Essays by Samantha Irby. This is actually a library book that's gonna have to go back soon. So, and this one is pretty short. This isn't as long as the other one, I don't believe, so yeah. Girls Gone Mild. My lady and I were out getting hammered at the local watering hole on a weeknight and feeling like cool olds. My bad. When the waiter asked if it was Mom's night out while offering to explain to us what whiskey is, and now I'm a corpse, please bury me in my LL Bean comfort fleece. Excuse me, I have tattoos, Jeff. Oh my goodness, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I just saw the fluid collecting at your ankles and assumed, what the F is happening to my life? What vibe am I giving off? Yes, I am wearing soft pull-on straight leg Gloria Vanderbilt, but I also have cool glasses and a mother effing hand tattoo. Couldn't it just be middle school art teacher's happy hour, Jeff? I should write a girls' night out movie, but a realistic one featuring people my age who have neck pain and no cartilage in their knees and spend the entire movie trying to calculate how to split a check and figure out the tip across 4 different cards. Or 2 women with questionable credit try to rent a car on their way to a wellness retreat neither of them can afford, and the teenager behind the Enterprise counter asks them to show 9 different forms of identification. A group of friends goes on a wild Caribbean cruise, and when things get spicy, they get heartburn. That's the poster. I used to party a lot. The only reason I stopped is because I got too old to do it right. Also, I moved to a town where the most popular bar has a mechanical bull. I spent 2 months on the road once when I was nearing the end of my 30s, lugging around a bright orange suitcase full of disposable underwear, plus a bunch of impractical crap I thought I was going to need to wear to become a different person. And I tried to party again. Here's how that went. 8:30 a.m. Pry eyes open at the sound of the alarm. That's right, preparation for girls' night out starts in the morning at this age. When I was a kid, I could work a full 11-hour shift on 4 hours of sleep, change my shoes and put mascara on in the back of a moving cab and go for from drinks to dinner to the club without a second thought. When I turned 21, my roommate in Chicago was this old queen who worked a corporate job and partied 5 out of 6 nights and almost never went to bed. Every other night, he was at clubs like Manhole, R.I.P., or Berlin dancing with his shirt off, his waxed chest glistening as he worked his hips to the of a European house beat. Then he'd cruise home at 4 in the morning, brew a pot of coffee, and have a suit on by 7. When I told him I was finally going to be of legal drinking age, he arranged a week-long celebration. A group of his friends and I were going to hit a different club in Boys Town every night for a solid week. The first night on my birthday proper was at a gay bar called Roscoe's, which I clearly remember because I was wearing fuchsia bell-bottoms and a sheer shirt, and how the F could I ever forget that? My birthday is the day before Valentine's Day, and Chicago is always a freezing, slushy mess. At some point in the wee hours, I misplaced my shoes, took them off because they were hurting me, and effed around and forgot where I put them. I left the bar after dancing all night in bare feet, and as my mother would say, with my chest all exposed. I woke up the next morning and went to work with the fever. I went to the jackhammer later that night, and I went to sidetrack the night after that, and then the night after that, I died, and now my ghost is writing this. 9 a.m., lie very still and contemplate getting up. I can't just wake and pop right out of bed like someone in a commercial for antidepressants. I have to summon the will. In the minutes after I ground myself awake, I lie there taking a mental inventory of all my various aches and pains. Oh, my lower back is sore. Must have slept funny during the night. Wow, the fingers on my left hand are numb. Clearly, I forgot to wear my carpal tunnel brace to sleep. If I don't move a single muscle, how long can I get away with not peeing? Also, for the past few years, I have been having very vivid near nightmares every single night, and I like to use my lying down morning time to reflect on them and try to figure out if the one I just woke up from is proof that I finally lost it. Here's an example of a dream I had on February 2nd, 2018, which I immediately wrote down so I could tell my internet therapist about it. I had some really messed up dreams myself. I agreed to house sit former Attorney General Eric Holder's giant, rambunctious Bernese mountain dog. At the beginning of the dream, I had this horrifying feeling in the pit of my stomach because it dawns on me that I was supposed to start taking care of the dog days ago, and not only has he been all alone in the house, where he's likely been pooping all over everything and knocked over the refrigerator trying to get at some food, but this effing dog has been left alone in Eric effing Holder's house, and I'm probably going to get sued and definitely going to lose when I do. Inexplicably, Amy Poehler, is she even friends with Mr. Holder, was at the house, ransacked, when I got there, and was in the kitchen, covered in trash, talking on the phone and writing down all the damages my negligence had caused, while the dog chewed on a designer shoe in the corner of the room. I never met the Attorney General. He never came home, at least not while I was there, but Amy ended her conversation and was very pleasant to me, despite standing in the middle of K9 wreckage that was absolutely my fault. I'm not sure how this dream ended. The endings are always hazy, but I remember waking up and thinking, what the F is my problem? There's something crawling at me! Oh. 10:30 a.m. Considering showering. I don't know if this is middle age or what, but if I'm going to go to a thing, I like to bathe right before the thing happens, so anyone I might encounter will know that I am a clean and virtuous person who cares about presenting her best self to the world. I am not that person, but if you ran into me at a party, I could probably convince you otherwise. But I cannot muster the strength to shower 2 times in one day unless there has been an incontinence emergency, and even then I'm only washing from the waist down. So on event days, I face this conundrum: shower in the morning and try not to ruin it by being a gross asshole, or be disgusting all day, then shower right before the event. I decide to skip the morning shower and instead drink a bunch of lemon water to wash down a handful of Advil and the assorted giant vitamins I've decided to start taking this year instead of going to the doctor. 11 a.m. Should I eat? So here's the thing about herding around a bowel disease when you actually have to leave your home and do things out in the world. You're always thinking, what if I have to poop? I'm not shy. My favorite thing to do in a public restroom, other than cruise for closeted gay politicians with whom to have loud anal sex, is to get comfortable in the stall with my butt directly on the seat and poop like a person who understands that this is a normal function of my human body. I don't love to go number 2 during a night out on the town because, 1, guaranteed it's going to be a mess, and 2, the bathroom at the club is probably not the most relaxing place to completely unclench your sphincter and get out a healthy, fiber-fortified stool. I'm not saying I haven't had explosive diarrhea while holding up my ill-fitting sequin skirt with both hands, party clutch full of LA stubs and coat check tickets clenched between my teeth while a line of drunk party animals whine collectively because there's only one stall. But those were definitely emergencies, which brings us back to my original dilemma. What is there to eat at this place that won't cause me agony in the middle of the dance floor? I selected a banana from the stash of emergency food I got at the airport and hastily shoved it into my purse at the cab stand. And you're gonna have to give me a second because I have to move into the. Whew, I have to move into the house because it is getting hot very fast. 1 second. Okay, you guys totally just saw all that. I thought I hit the pause button. I didn't. Whatever. Though, because I don't want my tummy showing. Okay. 12:15 p.m. quickly cycled through all 5 Kubler-Ross stages of impending social engagement dismay. 1. Denial. Did I really tell homegirl I would meet her for dinner and drinks tonight, or is this a dream? 2. Anger. Why the F did I agree to this? I hate going places and doing things. Why would they even invite me? 3. Bargaining. If I go to this restaurant tonight and I tell some jokes and act real sweet, I will keep this friendship intact. Plus, I won't have to make up a transparent lie or sneak around trying not to like crap on Instagram. And also, I don't ever have to leave my crib ever again. 4. Depression. Is there anything worse in life than someone wanting to hang out with me, especially in a fancy bar that serves handcrafted cocktails? Maybe I can throw myself off the organic rooftop urban garden and end this miserable charade for good. 5. Acceptance. Fine then, I'ma just watch 4 episodes of SVU and eat saltines with my shoes on until it's time to call a lift. Whew. It is... We'll just throw you right there. 12:30 p.m. in the old days, I would do something to my eyebrows and nails. I used to like to go out to get wasted with my friends and dance to house music, but also I was aggressively hunting for people to mate with. The year 2002 was a less cynical time, and the possibility of glancing at from my $9 Stoli Raspberry and 7-Up with a lime to find myself locking eyes with my future soulmate while at Crystal Waters' Deep House remix pulsed in the background felt, at least to me, a very naive person, like a real thing that could happen. To prepare in case it did, I would walk down the block to the nail shop after work and get a polish change. 2 coats professionally applied to my natural bitten down nails for half the price of a regular manicure, a dirtbag life hack. And an eyebrow wax. Would anyone notice my scuff for a polish and brows stripped thin enough to slice deli meat in a strobe-lit disco? Definitely not. But what if someone fell in love with me on the dance floor and invited me back to the apartment they shared with 9 roommates to drunkenly hump of me before passing out at dawn? I needed them to know that I was worthy of their attention, and clearly the only way to do that was to pay someone to push back my ragged cuticles. Nowadays, who even cares? I don't think my wife even notices that I have nails. Instead, I use this time to make a plan for the evening, i.e., imagine in excruciating detail all the things that could go wrong. 12:40 p.m. Start making the plan. Remember when you could be roused from a night being spent on the couch in your pajamas, curled around a pint of chubby hubby, and goaded into joining your friends at the bar even though you'd already taken off your bra? Yeah, I can't either, but I know those days existed. I have the liver damage to prove it. Now when I go out, I have to start gearing up for that crap at least 3 days in advance, and if I'm actually going to go through with it, it has to include both an ironclad reservation and a reliable seating arrangement. Showing up at a restaurant and hoping for the best is a young person's game. If I'm going out, I need to know that there is a table with my name on it and a comfortable seat pulled up to it. I'm too old to hover anxiously near the door, sweating under my coat and my good outside clothes, watching people who actually planned ahead be ushered to their waiting tables and served the foods I am dying to eat. I'm not that organized, though, so I spent a long time scrolling through an open table to try to find a reservation for 7 p.m. at a place that has more than a few high tops left and won't attempt to put us outside. It's slim pickings. 1:00 p.m. Get the text chain going. I'm going out tonight with 3 people who all get along, and I don't mean that they can endure each other for 2 hours without scratching one another's eyes out. I mean they have relationships that are established enough that I don't have to spend the whole time babysitting them or pointing out that things they have in common. In the past, I would have been just fine being the common thread in a random group of people and spending my entire night bouncing from person to person screaming, "You like pasta, right? So does Melissa. Talk to her about it." Or, "Emily has a weird boyfriend too. Discuss." And trying to make a group of virtual strangers feel comfortable while low key ruining my own good time. It's exhausting, and inevitably one person hates another person, and then you have to defend the bad person to the good person while internally questioning both of these stupid friendships. And why the F am I doing this again? Now I just ask the group chat if they want to go out. 3:30 p.m., either a coffee or a nap. It's the aging club kids Sophie's choice. Drink a giant watery espresso and risk further aggravating my irritated colon, or lie down for a refreshing 10-minute disco nap and wake up at 7 the next morning. Both have their advantages. Coffee is cheap and readily available, or if I overshoot my nap, I won't have to go out and party. It's usually around this time in the afternoon that I start rethinking my later commitments, no matter what the F they are. An 8 o'clock movie on Tuesday night sounded plausible last Thursday, but now it's Tuesday afternoon. I just had a lot of soup delivered while squinting at the laptop in my office, and now I don't think I'm going to be able to make that movie, okay? Going out on a Saturday night sounded great on Wednesday, but now Saturday is here, and I'm in my cozy clothes, and I've got Joni Mitchell's Court and Spark playing on this phone I've propped in a glass because I couldn't connect to the Bluetooth speaker, and it's going to be really hard to put shoes on, dog. It's extremely hard to motivate myself to get to a place where I'm required to pay a $20 cover to get hip checked by linebackers in church shoes all night, especially when I could just get back in my warm bed and not do that. I decided on a coffee because housekeeping is outside my room, and I will literally die of shame if I am just lazily lying around in the afternoon half sleeping while people are at work vacuuming. Plus, there is a Starbucks in the lobby of this hotel. Convenience is the number one driver of everything I do. 5 o'clock p.m. It's put up or shut up time. This is the absolute latest I can cancel without pissing off my friends. An hour ago would have been preferable, but it's really unlikely that anyone has already started prepping with 2 hours to go. The crime isn't bailing on the night. The crime is bailing on the night after hair has been shampooed and meticulously styled and Spanx have been squeezed into. If I've put on a real bra and you pick up the phone to tell me some shit about a headache, I'll meet you at the club with some Excedrin bitch. 5:15 p.m. The slog begins. I've just spent an hour regularly checking my phone in the hopes that someone else would cancel, but they haven't. So I guess it's time to wash. First, I'm going to take a few Imodium in case my intestinal tract decides to get cute, which it definitely will, either because or in spite of the fact that all I've consumed in preparation for this evening is a banana and a Luna bar and 3 glasses of water for health. And I'm not actually watching this movie, just putting it on so I have some comforting background noise. Okay, fine. I'm watching it a little, but it's not going to make me late, I swear. Now would be a good time to clear out my junk emails since my laptop is open anyway, but somehow I resist. I should also probably eat some dry toast in the shower so that my drinks have something soft to cushion their landing. Then do my hair on the toilet because the way my bladder works now is that I could just keep peeing forever if I wanted to. I'm perimenopausal and constantly dribbling. I definitely should pull out my best dark pants. 5:45 p.m. Will anyone notice that these shoes are fit flops and I didn't paint my toes, that I messed up my eyeliner, that these pants don't really fit right? If I wear underwear that goes all the way up to my chin, that I've stopped aggressively exfoliating, that I didn't spend enough time with a comb, then on the left side my lipstick extends a centimeter above my top lip, that there's an eensy-weensy teeny little piece of tape on these glasses, that this ill-fitting bralette is giving me quadra-boob, my hair which isn't curling right, that I really did use tweezers, I swear, that I recently switched to natural deodorant. 6 o'clock p.m. Panic City. This is usually when I start worrying that some combination of lateness and extreme anxiety is going to ruin the evening for me, and tonight is no different. I'm sitting on the side of the bed and I've already unsuccessfully tried on a sequin top. Why on earth did I buy that? A cold shoulder sweater that obviously snuck into my effing closet. Boots with a conservative heel. WTF. Jeggings. I do not believe in clothes I have to peel on. This is a violation. Lace. Itchy. Something called tapered peg leg trousers. Just use your imagination. Not only do I have to throw all these clothes in the garbage before I leave, but I also have to seriously evaluate who the F I thought I was buying these clothes for, since obviously it wasn't me. I like to wear nightgowns from land to end. Why are there zippered pants in the suitcase? Who okayed the stabby underwire bra? No time for an existential crisis like the present. Honestly, when better to slide down a self-esteem spiral than when a cab is outside with the meter running and I'm about to embark on a full evening of casual judgment from inebriated strangers. It's obviously the perfect time to rip rip the lid off Pandora's box and launch a deep investigation into why I buy so much aspirational clothing, right? I know my friends are currently putting on one final swipe of mascara while getting ready to walk out the door, but instead of getting my shit together, I'm trying to exercise the demon inside me that purchased a fitted satin skirt. Feel this in my freaking being. 6:10 p.m. This is fine. I've been sleeping in these high-waisted black yoga pants and a scoop neck t-shirt that has gone loose around the collar since my book tour stop in Omaha. So why not keep the party going and wear them out? I mean, who's going to know? Okay, let's be nakedly honest. I am wearing actual pajamas, not just real clothes I fall asleep in. I'm talking a nondescript pile of gauzy black fabrics that came from the sleepwear section at Kohl's, worn outside of my house where other people can see them, and not just to the grocery store. I mean, I've worn them in meetings, during interviews, on stage. These days, disgusting, cozy clothes are my main sartorial vibe. One Saturday night in my early 20s, I was sitting alone on the floor in my room watching rom-coms on my combination television and VCR in the apartment I shared with my old roommate Joseph, who by that time was already knee-deep in his evening's festivities, I'm sure, when our house phone rang. It was never for me, but I answered it anyway, and it was a girl whose friendship I maintained mostly because we liked to go dancing at the same Chicago clubs. And by dance, I mean drink a lot and sway. I couldn't tell you whether she liked horror movies or what kind of cell phone she had, or if she was a vegetarian, but I knew that bitch liked a Grey Goose orange with soda, no ice. It was after 11 when I brushed the crumbs off my sweatpants to get up and answer the phone, and if then was now, I would have had a hearty laugh at her proposition that I leave my warm apartment in the dead of night to meet her downtown in a dark warehouse with no chairs. But once upon a time I was fun, so I struggled into a tight pair of magenta polyester bell-bottoms and a shiny silver shirt. Imagine this, I dare you. Then took the bus downtown, where I met her outside a club called Entourage, spelled with an O because it was on Ontario Street. That's the only thing you need to know to formulate an accurate mental picture of exactly what the place was like. Dudes with fresh fades wearing sunglasses at midnight accompanied gorgeous half-naked women on stilts past the bouncer, who was collecting $20 covers, and I was there just like I was about to shimmy down the Soul Train line. I paid the cover with a collection of crumpled bills I dug out of the couch cushions. I am not, and have never been, cute enough to have the charge dismissed, and was ushered into the cavernous club, where I made a beeline for the bar. I jammed myself between several men in silk-collared shirts. This place had a dress code, because it was all class, you see, and ordered a gin and tonic, which a young man wearing many chains over his t-shirt slithered over and paid for, unprompted. An hour later, he had purchased several more, and per the terms of our unspoken nightlife contract, was allowed to surreptitiously grind against my outer thigh in a far corner of the dance floor next to a speaker while drunkenly slurring, "Let me see that ass," into the side of my neck to the tune of "You Know What's Up." My neurotransmitters and synapses dulled by watered-down Tanqueray. I took him literally, OMG, and processed to remove my pants in the middle of a effing disco. I know that the mental image that this creates is one in which I effortlessly slip a pair of silky trousers down my unstubbled legs and gracefully step out of them in one smooth motion. But nah, sweat and humidity and possibly urine had given my pants an adhesive quality that required my tugging them over my thighs, inch by constricting inch. At no point did anyone in close proximity grab my arm and ask just what the F I was doing, and my new boyfriend was clearly thrilled at the return he was getting on his investments. My stark white underpants glowing fluorescent under the neon lights. So when I was asked by security to leave the premises, I did so in a pair of just my size cool comfort briefs, with my soaking wet glue pants balled up in my hand. But tonight, the waist of my loose-fitting yoga pants is so high that I can tuck my nipples into it, which I am doing. No. 6:55 p.m. I'm not that late. If my lift doesn't get lost and there's no traffic and we hit all the green lights and no pedestrian steps off the curb while texting right in front of this 2007 Camry, and we go 60 miles per hour on city streets and I can figure out how to bend the space-time continuum, I will be only 27 minutes late. 8:30 p.m. I swore I was just going to eat rice. So far I have ordered 2 cocktails, one on purpose and the other I had to get to replace that one because I didn't want to tell anyone that I don't really know what Lillet is, and when the drink came, I hated it and immediately replaced it with a wine, which, if we're being honest, I didn't really like either. water that we had to pay for, so I wouldn't have to dry swallow an naproxen, a bread basket, which is fine, I guess, except it's effing health bread with seeds, and that's definitely going to be a problem on the way out. Some baked cheese business with herbs on top that is impossible to eat while looking sexy. Thank God these hoes are my friends. A deconstructed designer salad that came piled high with shaved fennel and preserved lemon and asparagus ribbons, and yes, it was gross, but I want the people who love me to think I care about myself, and a fancy vegan dessert donut, which, come on, just why? 9:30 p.m. in the backseat of the cab, dissolving 3 Imodium under my tongue just in case. Wow, remember when I used to be cool? 10:20 p.m. I know the door guy. Remember that opening scene in The Social Network where Mark Zuckerberg was trying to shame Rooney Mara for getting their underage asses into a Harvard bar by snarking, "The reason we're able to sit here and drink right now is because you used to sleep with the door guy," as if she was supposed to apologize for that shit, or, I don't know, feel ashamed. Let me tell you about a little dream I have called I effed all the door guys. In a magical fantasy world, I never have to stand in an interminable line outside the promontory while shifting my weight from foot to foot and puffing air into my mitten palms to try to stay warm, or shout, "Look at my neck," when I get stiff armed and carted in the doorway at Hope Leaf because that grunting ogre, barring the entry of regular peasants, effed me one time, and sure, he was disappointed, but now he's not going to make me catch hypothermia. I never tried to sneak into bars when I was an underage child because I never managed to find a fake ID featuring the photo of an unzipped body bag, but I have stood outside on a Thursday night in February in Chicago, huddled with other pigeons pecking around beneath an unperforming heat lamp, and that is an overrated experience. Anyway, that's why I suggested my friends and I go to a place where I know a guy. We got out of the car and I nodded at the imposing mountain of outerwear piled on a broken stool outside the door. He grunted and got up to wave us past the line, and I heard some little racist say, "Who the F is that bitch, Oprah?" And I yelled, "Yes," before that meant the meat wagon. 10:30 p.m. Are there really not any chairs? We split up. One of my ladies makes a beeline for the crowd surrounding the bar. The one who drank the most of that expensive filter water goes to find a bathroom, and I start circling the room trying to stake out a seat because I have arthritis in my knees. I knew we should have skipped dinner and gotten here before it got dark to snag ourselves a table. Now we have to spend the next hour or 2 hours or 6 days hovering anxiously near a table crowded with people who look like they might get up. It may surprise you to know that the seats being occupied by your nearly single dad and his middle management pals are the least likely to become available. Despite the fact that they look like they should have been in bed 3 beers ago, those boneheads are going to be here all effing night, risking it all. All equals a duplex in Aurora with a bored wife and uninterested kids. For a bottle service waitress with low standards. Better odds are to post up near the table, people screaming in one another's faces the loudest and having the most visible fun, because there's likely some cooler place with some hotter people that they have to get to, so they'll be leaving this one we found on our way in at any minute now. I know better. This is a good as good as it's gonna get because it's the only place I'm gonna go. Sure, the newest Bears draft pick is at this more exclusive spot I saw on a person's Instagram, but even if I wanted to go there, I should have to chase the bartender down to close my tab, get my coat out of coat check, feel bad because I don't have paper money to tip the coat check attendant, be cold and outside again, then take my chances getting in somewhere else, only to circle another corner booth like a desperate vulture waiting for a seat that hopefully nobody barfed in. We're staying. 10:42 p.m. Oh shit. Those assholes finally left. Knocks half-empty vodka soda glasses onto the floor before sprawling across the table. 11:05 p.m. This music is too loud. I'm sorry, what? 11:06 p.m. I mean, wait, what did you say? 11:07 p.m. Who did I see who? I can't. 11:08 p.m. Bitch, what? Whiskey. Whiskey. Yes, just get me any kind they have. It doesn't. 11:15 p.m. Was I ever this young and intolerant? I ordered a whiskey because you can take the tiniest, most imperceptible sip in front of your friends to prove you aren't a party pooper, and then set that shit down somewhere when they aren't looking and switch to water for the rest of the goddamn night without these bitches hassling you. Yeah, I'm partying, I'm having fun. I mean, sure, I'm drinking this $8 Aquafina now, but remember when I had that Jameson? If you get a high life, you have to drink the whole damn thing. And even then, people will be nudging the next two into your hands before you can catch your breath. The dope shit about being 40 at the club is that you and your friends are old enough to have credit cards to open tabs with, but the thing that sucks about this is your body can no longer handle the after effects of those seemingly unlimited drinks. I love to hand my credit building secured Indigo MasterCard to a man with a mustache and a leather bar apron and wave in the general direction of the four people I came with. That is an incredibly powerful feeling, but if I have more than half a beer and two wines, girl, I gotta go sit down somewhere. This is why I love a lounge, because you can sink into a plush banquet in the corner and not move your sloshing stomach around. 11:35 p.m. Oh my god, are you Roxy and gay? Yes, I am, sweetie. Get on in here and let's take this selfie. 12:15 a.m. It's officially the next day. This is an accomplishment. I was never really a get home at sunrise kind of guy. The minute the sky turns to slate, which is darker than dawn but lighter than dusk, and right before the sun starts coming up, and you can see how horribly your lipstick aged throughout the night, anytime your horrifying visage flashes across a reflective surface, despair sets in, and what's left of the day feels like it's already lost. What can I reasonably expect to accomplish if I'm going to bed at 7 a.m.? But for a fleeting moment, hitting at midnight is a great fucking feeling. I'm not at home in bed in a sweatshirt under the covers with a package of Oreos, but it's also not so late that I feel like I'm going to die. 12:55 a.m. I'm ready to go. At this point in the evening, the liquor fairy alights gently upon my shoulder and coos sweetly in my ear, "Bitch, you can't afford a party like this." And the gears in my brain slowly grind into motion, trying to recall exactly how many drinks I've had and how much those drinks cost apiece, and whether or not anyone would notice if I try to squeeze myself out of the tiny bathroom window and hitchhike home. I don't feel stupid until I'm locked in a bathroom stall doing drunk calculus on a paper towel to determine if I can pay both my bar tab and my card payment that month. It was cute to throw that flimsy piece of plastic with 67% APR at the bartender 2 hours ago, but now I can't find my friends and I know they've been running up my bill all night. What if I actually get my cell phone shut off because these bitches are too stuck up for well liquor? 3 vodkas divided by the light bill times the minimum payment plus cab fare back to my hotel. Shit, I gotta go. 12:56 a.m. Oh hey, there's that baked cheese from earlier. Seriously, what is my problem? And thank God I'm already in the bathroom. 1:10 a.m. Watching people flirt makes me nervous. Another side effect of getting older is caring about things. I get emotionally invested right from the jump in whether or not a real love connection is being made, and my skin is crawling with anxiety over whether or not I'm about to suffer vicariously through an awkward rejection. This dude has tried to get this woman's attention 3 different times after she's gotten distracted by someone cuter, and I can't tell from here if he's just dumb or a predator. But he clearly thinks they had something and could have something again if she would only turn her face back in his direction, and wow, my heart is breaking for him. My shoulders have crept up to my earlobes, and there's a knot of fear or fennel salad in my stomach. Why doesn't he just leave and swipe an app? She is having a very animated discussion with that new guy, and I'm so sorry, but I am going to have a full panic attack in this place if he reaches out to tap her on the shoulder again. I can feel it. Everyone thinks I'm going to eventually die of a heart attack, but joke's on y'all, it's definitely going to be a secondhand embarrassment. 1:15 a.m. She left with that guy. And now I have to sit here and commit the rejected dude's face to memory in case I have to describe it to police later. Why am I here? 2:47 a.m. What the? I feel like I feel the fangs break through my gums and a sharp prickle as hair sprouts from behind my ears and the backs of my hands. I cross my hands under the table and nod as my one friend gives me her "bitch, are you okay?" eyes and the other flags down the waitress. Is she actually our waitress? With the universal club signal for one of us is either going to vomit or fall asleep. And we begin the process of collecting all our things so we can go. Where's the charger cord for my spare battery? Whose lip gloss is this? Why is my left shoe in the farthest corner underneath this table? My vision sharpens and I can smell every bead of sweat in the room. I am up 5 hours, 47 minutes, and 19 seconds past my bedtime, and that is a dangerous place for me to be, awake at rat o'clock, in uncomfortable shoes and itchy eye makeup. I hear the seams of my shirt ripping at my chest as my chest broadens, tufts of coarse hair forcing their way out of the collar of my shirt. I bolt from my seat as I feel my claws split my shoes open. My flank is totally about to burst through my threadbare pants. People throw themselves out of my way as I launch myself at the coat room, nosing through the hanging fabric until I locate my jacket. No, it won't comfortably fit over my lichen form, but that shit was expensive, so I'm taking it. I yank it free with my teeth and rip the door to the club off its hinges and stalk through River North, swatting junior partners and finance bros out of my path with my massive paws. I pause briefly to consider eating a stray dog, but honestly, it's skinny and I don't feel like chasing it. So I keep running until I reach my hotel. Up on my hind legs to fool the dozing doorman, then I'm back in my room where I can muzzle retracting and haunches reverting to their gelatinous state. Lie prone on the shower floor as hot water rains down on me, and I eat those sun chips I bought this morning at Union Station. 3:30 a.m. How embarrassing would it be to order a bowl of room service oatmeal right now? Good night. Maybe I should try my gnarled old hand at horror instead. I'm awake after 10 on a weeknight. Shivers. Margaret brought a new person to book club. Shudders. Vacation constipation. Chills. Okay. So there's that one. Yeah, we have two more, but I'm already like an hour in, so I'm going to do a part 3 later on because my throat hurts, my laptop is dying, and I'm tired. It's 11:30, and I want to lay back down before I have to go to work today at 4. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you in the next video.